So we were having a get-together, and Brenden was like the new boyfriend on the block. So when we first met, like guards were up. We were ready, we were sniffing him out, making sure that he was okay for Leslie. So it was like through a very thick exterior that we got to know each other. And over the last few years, I've just really enjoyed getting to know Brenden. It didn't take very long for those walls to come down and realize what a kind and generous and easygoing person he is, and it's been really lovely to get to know him and have him be part of my life. So thank you for asking me to write a funny play. And let's have a round of applause for Brenden, the super special guest.
That was way nicer than what I asked her to say. So, thank you all for coming. Absolutely, this is so wonderful to see you here, and it means so much that you are. But before we get into anything else, the first thing I want to say is let's hear it one more time for Meghan, for Leslie, for Keelan, and for Kat McCormick, who just did a wonderful job today. So thank you so much for that. So much fun to poke fun at ourselves, and I'm glad that we're able to do it. The other thing I'll say is that, unlike the previous performance, some of you have already figured this out, feel free to have your phones out, feel free to do whatever you'd like, tweet, take photos. If it flashes, I might glare at you in a way, but that's okay. So thanks again for coming. I just want to start off by raising awareness that we're here tonight on the unceded Mi'kmaq territory of Kjipuktuk. Within those peace and friendship treaties that we have with the Mi'kmaq people, we've agreed to protect our shared land and its resources for future generations, and I think that's an idea that we should be more committed to. I also want to recognize our venue tonight, the wonderful Bus Stop Theatre, which is the only cooperative-run theatre venue in the city, and a hugely important piece of the independent theatre community here in Halifax. The piece you just saw tonight was about government decidedly not being very helpful. When it comes to the local arts industry, this theme hits pretty close to home. The miscalculation by the provincial government on the film tax credit continues to deeply harm the creative community here in Halifax and my family directly. Although recently we have had some good news. I know we're all very happy that the Khyber is indeed proving to be forever. I thank our city government for that. But even municipally, the bus stop has been threatened, in their case by outdated and inconsistent development rules. We really are lucky that the Bus Stop Theatre is here, and it's here because of good people working hard together. I encourage anyone who's not already a member of the Bus Stop Theatre Co-op to become one. You can do that outside. They've also launched this year a fundraising campaign to raise $10,000 towards capital costs of this building in 2016. So I encourage you to please check that out and consider whether you can contribute, because it's a great venue, and there are several productions that wouldn't be possible if not for this venue. For some reason, the idea for the story that you just saw has been in my head for a while, although it did take talents greater than mine to bring it to life. But for folks who know me, maybe it's no surprise that I dreamed up a local politics satire. I do spend a lot of time thinking about our city and how decisions are made about it. I write about development, policy, and politics for local publications, and I did, as Meghan mentioned, found Halifax bloggers in 2014. I've also had the very interesting experience on serving on what is called the District's 7 and 8 Planning Advisory Committee, or the PAC. I served on the PAC from its creation in 2013 until just last month, and as committee chair for most of that time. In that role, one of the duties that I had was to actually host public meetings on behalf of the PAC to get feedback on developments proposed for the peninsula. I also led committee discussions and worked with them to make recommendations about dozens of developments from our area. As chair, I worked in that intersection between city departments, politics, and the public. And through it, I have seen the city government work well for us, but I've certainly also seen it fail us. The last of the experiences that I want to share with you is my job with Downtown Halifax Business Commission. DHBC is the not-for-profit that represents the businesses in our central business district. We focus on advocacy and marketing on behalf of them, and on the beautification of the city through small but impactful beautification projects. Last year, I joined DHBC as Director of Communications and Marketing, and through that organization, I've had the challenges and rewards of working to improve conditions for businesses to do well. It's been fun to work with partners from across industries to help advance the progress of the urban core. I've been fortunate to be part of several collaborative successes that I'm really proud of, like the Argyle Shared Street project, which I'm really pumped has now moved into a permanent implementation phase. I think it's going to be the best pedestrian-centric street in all of Atlantic Canada, and it's been a long time coming, with huge efforts from DHBC, businesses in the area, and also Planning and Design Centre. We also have to give props to HRM for this one. DHBC has also let me bring to life some brand new ideas, like the first ever Halifax Lights Holiday Market, which was a huge success in historic properties this past year. I even got to help support the Halifax Pylon Club, which was the grassroots collection of businesses who decided to innovate their way out of their woes with construction. It's invigorating to be involved in a diversity of issues that we can tackle with collaboration and creativity, anywhere from commercial tax reform to policies for supporting Halifax as a music city. As a North Ender who works downtown daily, I'm surrounded by the best of urban life and also several of its challenges. Most of what I'm engaged in today is focused on Halifax and its future. Today I'm beginning a new such challenge, and I'd like to share it with all of you. I'm standing as candidate for councillor here in District 8, Peninsula North. A quick word about our incumbent councillor, Jennifer Watts, whom some of you probably have some familiarity with, who is not seeking re-election. I want to say that while sometimes our approaches may show to differ, Councillor Watts has served our district exceptionally well over the past 7+ years. She's represented us intelligently and assertively. I think it was a principled decision that she made not to run for a third term, citing her belief that allowing for new ideas strengthens communities. Hopefully, without coming across as overly optimistic, I'll say that if I do have the honor of being elected, I would seek to follow in Councillor Watts' example of thoughtfulness, community advocacy, and principle. And I too would also vow to seek a maximum of 2 terms. If given the opportunity, I'm ready to put in the hard work it will take to represent our community with compassion and rationality. So, about Halifax and our future. I think we're all seduced by the charms of our city. You know many of them. We have more than our fair share of colleges and universities, booming local food and beer scenes, and a strong tourism appeal. We're a pretty small city, but a heavyweight in industries like ocean sciences, shipbuilding, and IP development. We've got some stuff going on for us. But just as every city has their charms, they also have their challenges. And our location here on Goddard Street is an epicenter for one of our challenges. This historic community has been home to families for generations, too many of whom are among our most vulnerable neighbors. And as we know, developer interest continues to increase here, and there's no policy framework in place at any level of government to prevent the mass displacement of entire communities. We can work with change in our neighborhoods, but under no circumstances can we accept displacement. And not only do we need to do something about displacement, we need to do it right now. With the current inaction, as property values continue to increase, there are people who are in our community who have been here for their entire lives and generations, and today they're worried about making rent for the month of May. The solution cannot be years in the making because the problem is moving too fast. There are so many issues like uncontrolled gentrification that are pressing enough that we just can't accept that a solution is out of reach or somehow not in our domain of control. Processes and policies are made by people, and people can change them when it becomes pertinent to do so. Because in fact, there's a lot that we can accomplish. I know our community can be more inclusive and fair for those we traditionally leave behind or step over, including people living with disabilities, racialized people, low-income earners, and women. We can be more environmentally conscientious and lead with legitimately clean practices. We can have a more stable urban development climate to ensure complete neighborhoods that grow predictably based on well-enforced policies. We can make our city a much easier place to make healthier transportation choices like walking, cycling, or taking transit. We can rework our taxation and planning policies to incentivize growth in the urban core and development where we want it. And we can have housing that is affordable and available in our neighborhoods for all lifestyles and circumstances. I know we can. But to do it, we have to be inquisitive when faced with something that apparently can't be done. As councillor, my approach will be to understand a problem by seeking the perspectives of those it touches, and to learn about the people and systems surrounding it. It's too easy to blame the economy, or other levels of government, or geography, or something else seemingly outside of our control. But excuses don't help. It takes effort, collaboration, creativity, and a willingness to change. And we have to understand that our own experiences and our biases color the way that we see the world. No one can speak for everyone, and our elected representatives need to make it top of mind and top priority to seek and accept alternative points of view. I know that if elected, I will have to work extra hard to include the voices whose lived experiences are different from my own. I believe it's important to lead by example. I'm calling for a more collaborative, compassionate, ambitious, transparent, evidence-based municipal government. So that's what my campaign will be too. For example, I've implemented an election financing policy that has far more controls than what the city requires. Mine reflects best practices designed to level the playing field. It's going to be a little bit inconvenient at times, I know, but I intend to push for it as councillor, so I'm happy to live with it as candidate. I have a website that will be online starting tomorrow. Today was very busy. It outlines my views on issues our city faces using something I'm calling my living platform. Hope this isn't too new, but it'll be interesting to see how people react to it. Because it's living, because between now and election day, it's going to grow and maybe change. And it's because just like everybody, I don't have all of the answers to all things. With my campaign, I'll be trying to sell a process of curiosity, truth-seeking, and best practices. It will be a conversation about topics important to our city. Anyone who takes on the challenge of running for elected office has a lot to learn, and that's what this is about. In the coming weeks and months, as I learn something or have a policy approach to address one of the many issues that are facing our city, I want the flexibility to add new information. And if new information shows that I was wrong about something, I will welcome it and I will change my position. I believe the best decisions are made by those who keep an open mind, not those who stubbornly stick to their guns. It's about outcomes, not egos. And this relates to a fundamental idea that I'm asking for the opportunity to prove as councillor, that our community and our government can avoid stalemates and standoffs. We can resist inertia. We can promote collaboration and creative problem solving and change our approach when we need to. We can explore how we can do something instead of explaining why it can't be done. We can start at yes rather than no. I'm running for council because I believe I have the right set of skills and experiences to help align the actions of our city's government with the vision of its people. So tonight's the kickoff. In 6 months from today, we'll know who is our next representative from Peninsula North. By then, I hope and expect we will have had many constructive conversations about the future of our city. And until then, for me, it will be a lot of listening, a lot of learning, a lot of working hard, and ultimately endeavoring to earn your vote. And it starts tonight. Thank you all very much for coming tonight.